Bright QT. Every student matters.
Hello, dear students. Welcome to another lecture. In this class, we are going to continue with Unit 10 of Class 12 Education Nagaland Board. And the chapter that we are dealing with is habits. In the first part of of my lecture, we've discussed about the meaning of habit as well as the characteristics of habit. Now, in this part, I'm going to talk about the role that habit plays in our life as well as how a habit is formed. So, let us first talk about the role that habit plays in our life. Habit, we all have understood by now that habit plays a very important role in our day to day life. Our behaviors reflect our habit. If we have formed a good habit that is going to reflect in your behavior, your personality, your character, your emotions, as well as the way you deal with everyday scenario of your life. A man who possesses good habits is supposed to be a man with good character. Such a man is honored, respected, and looked up. Good habits also lead you to the path of progress. Those people who have a habit of reading newspaper every morning, their current affair, their general awareness is going to be very good and is obviously going to be helpful for them. People who've got a habit of meditating or practicing yoga in the morning, they are going to be healthy and physically fit. That is again going to lead them to success, because to learn better, your physical health also plays a very important role. We've learned that. So one needs to develop a habit very, very wisely, because your habits are going to define your future. They are going to have an impact on the way you learn, the impact on the way you speak, the impact on the way you behave, and how you are presented to the society. Also, developing a habit at an early age during the childhood is easy as compared to doing it in the middle age, or during your old age. Why? Because when we are young, we are, our brain is open, it is developed and is ready to accept new things. While when we reach the middle age, when we reach our old age, it is impossible or very difficult for us to accept changes in our lives. And thus, it is important to develop good habits in the children from a very early age. As I have already told you, a habit is going to strengthen, it is going to improve your learning activity. You are going to be successful. You are going to get achievements in your lives. You are going to be a better person altogether if you have learned the good habits at an early stage. Because at the later stages, developing a habit is totally impossible and very difficult as well. Now, we have understood that habit plays a very important role in our life. Habits play a role in our life so important that they actually shape it. They actually mold our future. They modify our future. 40% of our actions are not conscious but habit. 40% of the things that we do in our lives every day are not because we do it, reflexively, or, we do it because we want to, but because we've got a habit of that. If we've got a habit of speaking softly, no matter how much the other person is complaining or asking you that you're not audible, you'd not be able to raise your volume. On the contrary, for somebody who has a habit of speaking loudly, no matter how grim the situation be, the volume can never be less. So, habits play a very important role in our lives. They determine, they shape our life in the best possible manner. Our habits are going to change them in both good as well as bad way. If I develop a good habit, my life is going to take a better turn, a good and a positive turn. On the other hand, for a bad habit, which is difficult to shake off, we will not be able to get rid of it, and that is going to impact us badly. Also, according to the psychologists, it takes 66 days for one to form a new habit. Your old habit, once it stays with you, or rather, in order to form a habit, you have to repeat some activity for 66 days. And then your brain accepts it, and that becomes a part of your habit. Now we know what role habit plays in our life. We have also read that habit can actually shape our life to better or worse. What we need to know is that habits will never disappear. You might form new habits, you might start doing something new in life, but what you would do earlier, they are always going to stay in your brains. According to a survey, the daily habits that a person had formed actually led to self happiness. If you were a part, or if you were the owner of good habits, you were happy and satisfied with yourself, and that added to your satisfaction level, to your happiness level. Again, to become a habit, our brain has to crave for it. Our brain has to demand it. And our brain will start demanding it after something has been repeated for so long that even the brain has learned the entire mechanism. So we know habit is important in shaping our lives, but how is a habit formed? How do we form a habit? Whatever things we do on a on an everyday basis, whatever everyday habits we have, those habits may be formed by us keeping in mind certain things. For example, a person whose goal is physical fitness might have formed a habit of waking up early, cycling, working out, practicing yoga, and so on and so forth. Somebody who wants to appear for civil services, let's say, for their goal, that is preparation of civil services, they formed a habit of waking up at 5 in the morning and studying for 3 hours before going for a job or their college. So, why do you form a habit? Your goal is very important. Your goal is something which is going to attract you towards it, which is going to help you pursue something better, which is going to help you develop and repeat something in a better manner. Also, we have to understand that whenever we decide to form a habit, there is an underlying behavior, which is always, responsible for that. If I want to be a good runner, let's say, and I decide to wake up in the morning and run, this habit that I'm going to form of running every morning for an hour or so is because of the innate love that I have for running, and that is what pushes me towards. Habit formation, according to Thorndike, is very crucial and very important for the learning and the building of a child, because that is something which will always reward them in future. If during the budding years good habit is formed in the kids, that is going to help them lead to success better as compared to the earlier. Now, when you repeatedly do something, when something becomes a habit, you obviously start noticing the minute and the intricate details of something as well. Let's say you have a habit of making tea and drinking tea for that matter. When you have a habit of drinking tea, you are going to start identifying and differentiating between the different flavors of tea. If you bought a new tea variant for yourself, you'd be able to rate it better or worse than the others. You'd be able to measure things properly. Yesterday the sugar was more, today I have to make it less, and so on and so forth. And anything which you want to improve upon, when that is repeated, it becomes a habit. Now, according to an experience sampling research, people recorded that per hour what they were thinking, what they were feeling, and what they were doing. About 43% of their actions were performed every day and in the same manner. For example, let us consider your school life. As a child, we all would wake up, let's say, at 6 in the morning, would take 5 minutes to get off the bed, go to the washroom, brush our teeth, take a bath, come out, have a glass of milk with some dry fruits, take our bag, our lunch box, we put it in our bag, we take our water bottle and we leave for school. We either take a cab or an auto or a rickshaw, or we go by a school bus. We reach the school bus, we greet our teachers. 7 o'clock, let's say, our assembly begins. We line up for that. So, whatever things you do, we repeat them the entire almost every day. So 43% of the things that we do in our day are repeated every day. And since they are repeated so often, they automatically form a habit. There are a few actions specifically when it comes to the type of food that you eat. If you do them in a particular manner, only then can you expect that, a habit will be formed out of it. For example, you know that you are very fond of junk food, but you want to give that up. So you will first have to train your body to eat the healthy homemade food, and only after your body is trained can you think of just leaving aside the junk food altogether and getting into eating the healthy food only. Now we know that habit formation is something which is not overnight but takes a lot of time. And this is how we can describe it. There are 3 hours of habit formation. At first, when you want to initiate a habit, when you want to form a habit, you will have to give yourself a reminder. As I said, you will have to, if you want to wake up early in the morning to get physically fit, initially for a few days, waking up at 6 is going to be a task which you will find difficult. You might snooze your alarm, you might talk to yourself thinking about the pros of going for a walk, and finally wake up by 6:15. So in the initial days of habit formation, you needed a reminder, you needed a push to do something. Later, once you did that, it became a routine of yours. It became something that took place on its own, that took place automatically. Now you don't feel any stress or any external force is to be applied to you to wake up early. You have got a habit of waking, you will wake up, you will go for a walk and will come back. Once the routine is set, comes the most important aspect of habit, which is the reward. You will grow closer to the goal that you had in mind before the formation of that habit. If I wanted to run in order to be fit, I will finally see myself getting fitter. So I will see myself getting the reward. And that reward is going to act as a motivation for me. That reward, if it is positive in nature, is going to act as a motivation and is going to remind me every day that I have to follow my routine because it is good for me. It is helping me achieve what I wanted. It is helping me gain something. And therefore, this is how a habit is formed. So at first you need to give yourself a reminder. It then becomes a routine or a habit. When you see a reward coming out of that, the motivation that you get becomes a reminder in itself again and forces you, motivates you, inspires you to follow that routine regularly. So, my dear students, I'm going to pause here now. We've learned about the role of habit as well as the habit formation. I'm going to pause, and in the next lecture, we are talking about the major advantages as well as the disadvantages of habit. So, I'll see you all now in my next lecture.